Good evening, guys. We're starting the stream tonight. We're talking about save game. Now, you'll see earlier I'd actually done a little bit of the saving for the research tree. Now, upon checking certain things, you can't really save an actor and all its settings in an easy system, but I did realise that I had a save system plugin, which is this thing here, easy save, easy multi-save, right? So I had installed it and had a look at it probably about last week, didn't look at it for too long, was kind of reticent to use it, but I had a little play with it this afternoon, or not even a play with it as such. I'm going to let you see what it kind of says, right? It's got saving actors and saving the player, persistent data, local profile, all that kind of stuff. You can save a thumbnail, which might be useful. I haven't used that yet. So we decided we'd have a go at this to see if it would be easier or not to implement, right? So what I did was, or what you do in this system, is I had to set the current save slot in the easy multi-save, I'll call it EMS, right? In the EMS system, set the slot to the slot name that I'm using, because that kind of uses a similar system to what I actually set up for slot names, etc. And then what I did was for each, hey Kofi, how you doing, mate? So for each of the base building and base connector, I added the EMS save interface. Now, as soon as you put that interface on an item, it becomes listed to be saved, okay? So all I had to do was put the base buildings, the spliners, the base connectors onto the system, give them this interface, right? And we shall do one final thing, which is going to be this BP object, right? So this should, in theory, save any of the objects on our conveyor belts, okay? So we just add the interface to something we want saved. Then what I've got now is I have added a custom event to the controller, right, which is basically autosave, right? It just basically saves the game actors. Now you can set this up to save either the actors or the player actors, sorry, the level actors or the player actors. Now I've got it to set up save both, right? So that's going to save after a minute, and then it's going to auto save every minute, okay? So from that, what I then did was test it out. So let me show you the results. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new game, and we'll call it game save test, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to fire our probes, and then we're going to put down a refiner, and what we'll do is we'll add a smelter, okay, then we shall spin that one around and we shall now guys, I've not even seen what this is going to do. I know it will save like this, I know it will save that, and I know it will save that. Now what I don't know is whether it's going to save the splines, whether it's going to save the objects on the splines, or whether it's going to save the settings, or whether it's going to join stuff up or whatever. I have no idea. So I knew that was going to be copper ore just to muck up my plan. Right, so we'll do our probes again. Well, in fact, what we could do, okay, we can't, because I have kind of broken that part. That's something we can look at fixing. Excuse me a minute while I get a drink. Right. Okay, and while we're at it, we'll add another probe at it here, just in case this is copper ore as well, which in my luck it probably will be. And it is, would you believe it? So none of these are any good to me at the moment. So come on, give me some bauxite. Do the right thing. Are you going to be bauxite? Yeah. Right, okay, so now we can build our stuff. And there we go. And now what we can do is, if we check the controller, we know it's going to save every minute, right? But we can actually manually save by hitting the down button. Okay. So I hit the save button there, and now we can press stop. Let's do a save again. Right, so let's have a look at how successful this actually is. Well, we have our 3 buildings. What we don't have is our spliners or our other objects, right? So we don't have our BP output object, and we don't have our spline object. Now, whether or not whether or not that's correct. Now, I did read that you have to load these things in. Let's try that again. Right. So what we'll do is we'll create our spliner. Okay. And it doesn't seem to do it. Okay, so there might be one thing that's stopping this doing it. Right, now I'll have to do a bit of thought on this one. We're going to do the down button, which should save all our actors. And now if I press stop and play, continue, you see our thing isn't here, right? Now, what I'm thinking, I'm going to have a look at this base connector. Right, so what I was worried about was it wasn't saving because its parent class was a connector, a C++ file, right? But obviously that's not the case. If we look at base building, that's also not the case, right? Now, if we do it with that, now, the interesting thing is, or isn't, depending on how you look at it, right? What we could do is take a look at this. Right, and we could stop that, then we could load this, okay. Now the interesting part here is or the part I'm really interested in is, like, for example, right, this should be copper, yeah, but the ore type is none, okay. So I believe, now the interesting thing here is it has got a mineral value, but I'm not too sure if that was the actual value or not. So what we'll actually do here is we shall create another miner up the top, and we shall check it manually to see what that value is and see if it's changing. Now, I do know that EMS has got something to do with properties, So like the saving properties, so maybe you need to save the actors and then save the properties. I'm not 100% sure on that, but we can check it out in a moment, right? So we just need to wait on this becoming active, right? So this is bauxite 3585, right? So we can save it, then stop it, run it, continue, and it's going to load it, right? Exactly where we were, which is cool. It's all well and good. That's a different number. So it's not saving the properties of our actor. Okay. So oops, I need to stop it just now. So we need to see how this is going to run. Now this is definitely under the EMS system, so set actor save properties. Persistent. Right. Okay, so it's not that. So what I'd be interested in seeing here is, right, if we go to plugins, right? Let's go to plugins. Actually, we don't go to plugins. We go to project settings, right? And we might have to do it somewhere in here. So it's in plugins and easy multi-save, right? Autosave structs, persistent player, persistent game mode. Okay, so we have a problem because it's not saving the state. Right. Now, like, okay, let's have a look. Let's see if there's anything else that we notice about this. Because we know that nothing is set up there. Okay. Now, the data for this actor might actually be right, so it's not got an OR type, blah 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 blah. So in theory, I'm just wondering if when this is spawned, it's obviously not spawning it with the correct values, or basically I'm doing something wrong, or the way that it's set up, it basically doesn't spawn correctly. You know, like when I spawn a miner, it's spawned in a specific way, whereas if we do it from the load, then we may have to do something slightly different. But I think we need to know more about easy multisave to actually understand what is actually going on, right? So if we take a look again here, we'll see if this gives us any clue as to how so we're looking at this here. Save persistent object. Okay. Get save slot, set the current save slot. Right, okay, we did that. Load game actors. Okay, so we did that. And the question now is from here. Well, one of the problems is we can't blooming read it. Right. So I'm not 100% sure what that is actually pertaining to. I'm having a look at the documentation here. Right, let's have a look at this together, guys. I know this doesn't make for the best of streams, but actor components. Right, it looks like we need to do this. Right, so that's pretty much no good to us. Right, additional data. Right, so it's not. Okay, let's look at troubleshooting. this isn't. Blueprint structures. Right, okay, so it looks like I may have found the answer. So fundamentally, I don't understand why it's not saving the splines, but let's do the simple ones first, shall we? So on, it would be BP base building, and that's save game. Right, so that should now give us, let's see if this actually does something. Recipe outputs. Right. We don't do that one. Or do we? I might not need to. We definitely probably need to do that one. And we'll do that one as well. And we shall do that one as well. Well, this might be a long night if you're going to have to click on every single one of them. Then we'll do it for the miner, right? Because that's probably the least, going to be the least amount of manual work. So if we do that and it works, then we know we're on the right track. Right, so we shall save that and save that and save that and save that and that and that, even though I don't think that's used, but this is one of the more important ones, which is that and that and that. Okay, so we might need to restart this because it might, no, it wouldn't have saved. Right, so we're going to need to try this again, I think. Right, so basically we stop this, we run it again, then we manage the data, okay that, close that for now, new game, save game, test. Okay, what we shall do is going to do that, and then we'll have a refinery up here. It won't actually matter how we set it up. It's, well, I've not set this one up to save any of the data, so yeah, there's that. Right, so we need to see what this one is. Right, okay, so it's copper ore 4184. Right, pretty easy to remember. We'll save it, we'll stop it, we'll press play, we shall continue. and I might have just screwed that up. We've got our copper ore, so that's how you do it. 418, that's 1, not 4. So that's correct, everything else is correct. Right. What I'm going to do is stop it again and run it again. Because I think I hit a button that might have screwed things up. Right? I was on the arrow keys instead of moving the camera keys, and I might have actually saved something or loaded it again or something. So we've got a 4181. So it is persistent, so that's good. Right? So on our spliner, we might have to redraw these. So what I'm thinking at the moment is, right, that when this actually exists, it's just not drawing it because we basically don't tell it to create that spline. Okay? So what I'm going to do is we're going to draw a spline, right? And then right, so we've got our spline, we're going to save it, and then I'm going to stop it. Now I'm not going to be surprised if the spline shows up here on, I'm not going to be surprised if there is a spline and there it's there. Yeah, the spline exists, it's just not been drawn. Right? So when we load there's like, we're going to have to go through a series of things. Okay? Which might not work either. But what I'm going to do is in here, BP output object, we've added the save interface. Then what we're going to do is we're going to set all of these to here. Right, now we may need, I'm just going to save this anyway, guys, right? Oh, there wasn't any objects on that, right? So basically what I need to do is continue this. Now we know there's a spline there, right? The problem is that it's not drawing it. Right, so that's copper ore. So we'll stop that just now, right? and we'll create a new game. We'll call it test 2. Now on the miner we're saving all the different objects at the moment, or at least all the different properties, which is what we want. And I don't know why I've not shot off a draw that there. Then we're going to hope this miner is and I'll tell you what, if this works and we get a little quirk of the spliner, and if everything connects up how it should, this is going to be the biggest help ever. And that's bauxite, so that's perfect. So we can draw our spline. Doesn't need to be, because we can adjust it. And there we go. So our stuff is going along the spline. Right, we can save it and stop it. Now those barrels should actually go along the spline even though the spline is invisible. So let's see if that is the case. Apparently not. Okay. But what we can do, they are there. They're definitely there. You can see the objects there, they're just not connected to the spline. Right? So you can see there that it's got BP spliner. And the product is bauxite and it's test. So that's all well and good. Right, but we need our actual object to run the sort of final spline. Okay. So I'm just going to take a break for 2 minutes. I need to go to the little men's room, and I shall be back in just a moment or two. Stick around, guys. I won't be long. Okay guys, we're back and on with this working out a plugin. Okay, so what we're going to have to do is on event, if we look at the spliner, okay, on event begin play, we can basically say if the list of if this if the length of this, right, is greater than 0. Now I'm just thinking of a quick fix here. This might not be the final fix, but this tells if it's got final spline points, right, that means that it has been drawn before, okay? Because it's only when you hit the complete button for the spline that it actually fills in the final spline points. So in theory, if we do on begin play, if it's come back with final spline points, now we are going to have, I'm going to branch this, right? First of all, I might not join this up, but almost certainly we need to do the save game on this, right? That's just the tall and the short of it, really. So if that's the case, then we basically say draw the final spline. So if that is true, we draw the final spline. So the interesting thing here, if I add a breakpoint and save it, right, is when we continue this, yeah, we draw the final spline, but this number is false because we didn't have that button clicked for the save game thing. So basically it didn't save that spline. So we're going to have to start that again, right? And we're going to call it test 003. Okay, that. Then we're going to do our probe and we're going to do our refinery. And we're going to hope that this is the right thing. Right? So that's cool. No, it's not. Right, okay, whatever. We want our bauxite. Right, so we can also put one over here somewhere. Okay. Right, so we're hoping for one of these to be bauxite. Then once we get the bauxite, right, so we've got our bauxite, okay? So what we can do now is we can spin that round, then we can draw our conveyor, we can resume that, okay? Then that's going to start doing our little things there. So the first thing we can do is hit the save button. That should have saved everything. We can stop that. We can press play. We can continue now. This should hit the break point, right? And this time, this number is still 0. Well, that's not very good. We'll zoom that. Right, so that wasn't the most successful thing ever. Right, what we're going to do in the meantime is we're going to fix our refiner. If I can find it. That's the miner. Base builder, research craft, Well, the first thing we do is we look at our miner to see what we changed in there. Right, so that's that one, and it's plain highlight. Right, so we need to add that to the refiner and to the fabricator. So it's this one here. That's not right. Hang on a second. Right, so that's okay. BP base building. So we should be going in here, right? So the point of this is I can't change the recipe, right? So I need to be able to change the recipe. So when you click on this, it should go to here, right? So the point here is to make it a bit easier to bug test, I need that other thing back working, right? So if I continue here, we can resume that. We will need that breakpoint later. Right, if things are a save game, we're going to need to do certain things, right? So that is clicked on, right? So if we step into this and we step over and it's normal, so we step over, step over, step over, step over. Right, so why was that not working before? And it's the smelter that's the one that's got, that's not closing now for some reason. That was bizarre. Okay, so we're going to stop this for now, and we need to create a new game, right? And our BP spliner is the one that's causing us problems here. So we definitely had that. Okay. So I'm just wondering, let's put a delay. Right. And save that. Because this was definitely saved. If we continue, we've got our breakpoint. And there we go, we've got a value. Right? And there we go. Now, the thing is, for our miner, right, we're setting up our spline, we're doing our thing. So that's all cool, right? So the thing we need to do now is our miner so we're doing our event begin play, okay? And the next thing we need to do is we need to find out if something was saved, if it came from, well, actually this should set the process, but we haven't set these things here, and I believe we have to set up to save components. So what we want to do is have a look at the save version of the miner, right? We can take this off because that should say, yep, 37. So we can disable that. We can resume that. But what we want to know is this particular miner, or whatever miner it is, right? We're going to have to do this again, because what we need to do is we need to remove any other stuff from the game that's going to interfere with us trying to check out what is what in this game, right? Because I did have a couple of testing things in it, and one of them was a miner, so we really need to get rid of the miner. Right? So we need to get rid of this, and we need to get rid of that. Okay. Then, yeah, that's it. That'll do us for now. Right? And then we need to come back to our main menu and press play, a new game, and we'll call it 005. Okay. Then we'll set our probes, put it there. And as I said, after we do this and save it, we need to find out which of our right, so we've got our miner, so we save it now. We find out what it is, right? So we found out what it is, hopefully. We can disable that breakpoint. We can resume. Okay, so it's copper ore 29890. We can close that. We can save it and stop it. And the important thing is now is what it looks like in comparison to this. As far as like these components go, we have to see which components it has and which components it doesn't have. Okay, so if we look at this miner, let's go from the top, shall we? Right. So it seems to have all of them, right? But that doesn't have anything, which is kind of scary. Well, actually not yet scary. Not yet scary. So what we can do is stop that for now. And we can let it do its process, right? Then we can enable that breakpoint to see what that value gives us. And then we can do this one to see if it actually puts anything in our mineral amount. Okay? But it looks to me at the moment is we need to basically, we did click on all these, I think. Yeah, we did. Yep. Yep. And yep. And now what we need to do, oh, we need to, oh damn it. So we do need to go into this component and find out, well, let's put it this way, right? Let's do this. And if we continue, so it's every 10 seconds. Now I'm guessing that this current workers and maximum workers is 0.1. Okay, so there's one worker. So I don't think it's saving that because I think that's default, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. Right, and the next point is this recipe outputs and S output. Right, so I'm guessing that whatever it is, we're kind of not going to get to here. So resume. This is only going to fire after 10 seconds. Right, so we step over, right, and that's okay. So we step over, and that's okay. We step over that. And this is nothing. So the item is nothing. The item is none. So this S output, so the comp output, so we can stop that for now. And if we go into base building, actually it's not base building at all, it's a refiner. So comp input, okay, so we need to actually go into the components themselves and save those values, I take it. I mean, I did read something a bit about, so we go to components, we go to comp input, right, and basically all of these get saved. Okay, and then we go to comp output, and it's basically the same thing here. Okay. And yeah, so we save that, and now we have to save both, basically. Let me get a drink. So we press play, we clean up our save games, close that for now, and we'll call this game 001, right, and then we set up our probes. Now this showed something a little bit different for the components, but I'm not sure if I need that extra. I think I need basically all the components I use, if they're in, then they have to get saved. So we resume that. Resume that. Resume that. And resume that. Right? We can resume that for now. And that's bauxite 4207, etc., blah de blah. Resume, resume. Close that. Save the game. Resume, resume. Stop it just now. Play that. Continue. Resume. Resume. And this time, hopefully, we resume that, and hopefully this time it still says none. Right, so it's not setting up the comp output. Whatever it's doing, right, so that's setting up the updated components, setting up this. This might be just another little, yeah, I think we're gonna have to do get the workers component as well, but I think this just needs a delay again. Right? Before it starts doing its stuff, it needs to set itself up from the EMS system. So we need a short delay, right? And let's see if it does it this time. And we resume that, and this time we have bauxite. Yeah, so we need to remember that every time we save from EMS, we need a delay, right? If it's an EMS save, we need it to do that. We need the delay, or it doesn't have time to load up the data. Okay. So that's all well and good. And the next thing we need to do is check this out actually for real. So if we press play, continue, right, then we can disable that breakpoint, right, and keep it running. We are going to hit another breakpoint in a second, but right, so we can do that. We can allow it and disable it and resume and disable this one, then resume. And now if we do this and we do this and we do that, right, so we do that, we do that, then we do that, and we get the barrels. Okay, so now if we save that, we can stop that. Now let's see if we get barrels halfway along. Wait a minute. Are we going to get a transform? Yeah, we should get the transform, shouldn't we? Let's try it. No, these aren't doing anything. So we need this object. Is that the right thing? Yep. We need the output object. Now we have set all of these to save. Okay. And no worries, Kofi mate. It should probably very late where you are just now. Now the problem is, yeah, we want to save that. We want to save that. And we can't really save that. So since we've not saved that, we're going to have to try that again. Right, I'm going to grab a quick cigarette. She'll be back in 2 minutes. Okay guys, we're back. Right, this is quite pressurising because we're trying to do this and work out a plugin at the same time. It's quite stressful. Normally I would do this off stream and just take my time and monkey about, but I'm doing this in real time, trying to work out what's going on. So we need to do our thing there. So basically, if I get this mostly working, what I'll do at the end of it is, once I finish the stream, and tomorrow morning when I'm not live, then I'll go around and set all these variables to save games so that they're all saved. Now, I don't know why that's spinning round. That is really weird. And it's just started doing that. And it's really quite freaky. Copper ore. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to do another probe and find out if it does the same thing all the time now, or if it's just having moments. Because I haven't changed anything as far as all of this stuff goes. Now that's copper ore anyway, so we can't really use that for now. That's bizarre. Why is it doing that weird shit? Right, anyway, it's bauxite, so we don't care. Right. So that's kind of not the moral of our story at the moment. Okay. So we have our barrels coming out now, and we can save that. Stop that. Play. Continue. And this is not now doing what it should be doing. Well, this is all rather weird. Okay, let's stop that for now. And we should go back to our miner. Right. And let's see. Why is it doing that? So that's 0, 0, 0, 0, right? So I can only guess that it has to be the base building. Right? But that's not the case either. Because that's at 0, 0 as well. Well, that is simply bizarre. And you'll notice that it rotates after the fact, right? So it like rotates minus 11 degrees for some unknown reason. I mean, why is it doing that? Right? It looks like there's a rotating component somewhere that's rotating this, but there isn't. This is bizarre. It's quite simply bizarre. Right, we need to figure this out because we're not going to. This is just going to annoy the living daylights out of me. Call it moving. The moving minor. Right? So what we'll do is we'll put one here. Alright, and we'll see what happens when it draws it here. It did it again. It's minus 5 degrees. Okay. So this is a weird problem that's just came out of nowhere basically. It's literally just started doing this. Wow. I mean, just wow. It's minus 5.46 for some unknown reason. It's minus 5.84 for some reason. What is going on here? Okay, right, we'll stop that for now. Okay. And if we look at, this is going to be the vehicles. the AI. Right. So it's going to be this. So that's the main constructor, and this is the thing that creates the main. Okay. So tell you what we'll do. Now I've not touched any of this code, right? So this is probably a red herring. I have no faith that this is actually anything to do with anything. Right? But for argument's sake, I am just gonna go with the flow. Right? And we shall plug this in. Right, so if this doesn't work and it still does this weird rotation thing, then it's nothing to do with that, right? So we can basically forget that crap. Okay, so we can forget it's anything to do with that. And there's something happening after the fact here. And that spun round as well. Right, okay. Next case in point. What we'll do is we'll put this back, because as I said, didn't think it was anything to do with this at all, and I was right, it was nothing to do with that at all. Now the question now is it something to do with the saving? Right? We shall save all here. We shall go back to our FE controller, and what we'll do is we'll stop it auto saving, right? And we'll only save it of our own accord now. Now it would have to be a huge coincidence for it to be this. And the moral of the story here is that you can see them getting put down, and then you can see them spinning. Right? And it's, right, okay, wait a minute. And that is perfectly fine. And that is perfectly fine. Now if I try to rotate that, it goes back to its proper rotation. Right, now if I save that, Okay. Let's see what happens. It moves again. But it only happens to the minor. For whatever reason. Right? Right, so this is a bit weird. I'm actually quite confused here. It's copper ore. So we could set that to copper. Then spin that around. Now, I'm just wondering here, in the minor, right, there's actually nothing here. That actually does anything. Right, there's nothing in the construction. Yeah, there is, actually. It does set up this. Now let's see what this does. Tell you what we'll do, right? Tell you what we'll do. We shall do that. We shall do that. We shall do that. Then what we'll do is we'll move this stuff to the very end. Right? So on event begin play, it's going to do that stuff. Then we'll do that. Actually, we kinda want to do all of this at the start, don't we? Actually, we don't want to do that. What we want to do is do the get workers first, because we don't want to set the workers without having the process. We don't want to set the process without having the number of workers, or the timing is going to be wrong. But what we do want to do is delay it the 0.2 seconds. I might actually, what I might do here is set two different begin plays for each thing, and then basically what we do is, if it's got the value of EMS save, then we do one begin play, and if it hasn't, we do another They might be virtually similar, but there's going to be a delay in one and possibly changes to the other. Right, so what we'll do is we'll say game 006. I think I've missed out 5, but hey ho. Right. So I hate it when you get some obscure little problem that bears no relation to what you're doing up until now. But for some reason there's something in the code that's screwing it around. And there it still does it. I don't get it. Right, so what we need to do is we need to look at base building and have a look at the construction script. There's nothing in it, right? So whatever it is, the miner right? So it ain't there. The question is, what have I changed? And the answer is nothing. I haven't changed a goddamn thing. And yet, somehow, so it's nothing to do with that. The only thing that I can think of, and that's not even a thing either. This is absolutely bizarre. I don't understand it. I don't understand this at all. Why is it spinning round? Right? And I'm betting that collision on everything is off. No collision. And this is going to be the same. No collision. I think this does have collision actually. Is it to do with this? Is it to do with that? I wouldn't have thought so. Right, hang on a second. could be something to do with this, right? Could be something to do with this, which would be really weird, right? It'd be really weird, but it is possible. Still kind of doesn't make sense. Let's have a look. Right, so that's not it. So get that out of the way. It's this thing here. So basically we have to add this EMS save interface, save that. Okay, this is a bit of a shot in the dark, guys, but we'll try it. Save game 007. I was about to burst into a bit of James Bond theme tune there, but decided to save you the embarrassment. Apparently we didn't select that there. Right. Oh, it did actually select it there. Well, that's just bizarre. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. There's something colliding with that, and I'm gonna have to find out what's going on with the miner, because it's only happening with the miner, right? If we look here and we build this, it's fine. This is just super weird. I don't know what's going on. And with that, I'm not going to struggle with it on stream. So if you've popped by to watch, then thank you very much. Hit the subscribe button. Check out the description for my previous Steam game, Patreon, and join my Discord. And once again, thanks for joining, and I shall catch you tomorrow, same time as normal, 2 PM Central. And bye bye for now.